When you think of propaganda, what do you think of? Fox News, Jubilee, PragerU? These are all conservative outlets, and that makes sense. The US is a conservative state, so the media will always cater to the right. For me, though, the film bastard that I am, when I think of propaganda, I think of Sergei Eisenstein, the film director slash propagandist that made films for the Soviet Union. I don't call him a propagandist to slight him. His contributions to the film world are numerous and important, but it is important to note that most of his films were made as state sanctioned media meant to push a socialist agenda. Most people in film school probably already know Eisenstein. They've probably watched Battleship Potemkin. It's quintessential film viewing, like Citizen Kane. When I first watched Battleship Potemkin, I thought it was fine, cool, a relic of its time, but I didn't really ever feel much towards it. And then something clicked. As I started studying Soviet montage theory, I started to understand Eisenstein and understand his project. And when I rewatched Battleship Potemkin, it shed a new light on the film. And I couldn't help myself. I had to see the rest of his filmography. If you don't know Soviet montage theory, I wouldn't really worry about it. It's not really pertinent to this video, and I'll probably talk about it in an upcoming video. I think out of all the masters of filmmaking, Eisenstein is the simplest to me. Not to say that his filmmaking wasn't complex or, he wasn't a genius, but that his message, the way he delivered the message, was meant to be simple, was meant to be digestible. And I think that has to do with his role as a propagandist. His films tell you the message you're supposed to take away at the beginning. For example, the general line, what this video is about, begins with a statement. We have to transform our country from an agricultural state to an industrial one. This simple message informs the rest of the film. Other intertitles don't communicate dialogue like they do in most silent films, but choose to communicate the collective feeling of the group, or other statements like the one I talked about in the beginning. I love Eisenstein. I think because there's something so earnest in his filmmaking, and in an age of irony and defensiveness, it is refreshing to see something so devoid of it. Eisenstein's writings, as he was a prolific film theorist, wholly espouse a socialist ideology and a belief in the project of the Soviet Union. So why am I even talking about this old-ass filmmaker? Why do I want to talk about this film that's obscure even for an obscure director's standards? Well, I think because out of all the films I've seen of Eisenstein's, the general line moved me the most. And that's what I wanted to write about. That feeling is the reason I'm making this video. So let's talk about the film, since I imagine many of you have not seen it. The general line, also known as The Old in the News, about Martha, who has recently acquired some arable land from her dead father. But she is having trouble getting her farm going because the land is poor and the people are divided. So Martha tries to create a collective union between farmers through industrialization. The people are hesitant to join at first, but when Martha acquires a cream separator used for making milk into butter, the people are convinced in this goal of industrialization and unity. As a little aside, the cream separator sequence is what made me want to watch this film. The book that inspired me to watch the film and really dive into Eisenstein kept talking about the phallic imagery present in this sequence, and I mean, yeah, I just look at it. Anyways, phallic imagery aside. Phallic imagery aside, the final act of the film is Martha trying to acquire one more piece of technology, a tractor. I am simplifying the film a ton, but I really think you should check it out. It's free on YouTube. When she brings back the tractor, she hitches 20 carts to it and effortlessly carries it across the rural landscape. It's clear what this means. One tractor can do the job of 20 horses. Everyone looks on, marveling at how their lives will improve from now on. It's a beautiful sequence. The way the tractor moves, the people waving in delight, it's so triumphant. I don't know, it really got to me. When we see media about industrialization, it's usually about how it will kill us or replace us. Most of sci-fi and dystopian fiction is based on this fear. So there's something refreshing here when you see excitement over a piece of technology as plain as a tractor. Not only are we supposed to be excited to industrialize, but we are supposed to see this innovation as something for us, for the worker, to make our lives easier. I can't help but think about how innovations are talked about these days. Think about AI. We cannot imagine AI being used in any other way other than replacing labor and putting people out of jobs. The tractor, on the other hand, represents a liberation from the wealthy elite and a tool for collective upward social mobility. That's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. The left in the United States has always had to be on the defensive. Lots of leftist films take Angelopoulos' Hunters, which I talked about in a previous essay, focus on negativity and oppression. But because the project of the Soviet Union was a socialist one, we get a unabated, unquestioned good to socialism. The conflict in the film almost feels secondary to the joy of industrialization. The rich people poison their precious bull. Oh no. Well, actually, we have a new calf, and also we have the tractor, so everything will be okay. It feels so nice and cathartic to see this leftist ideology given the joy it is so often deprived of. That feeling, though, didn't last long for me, and as I watched the tractor pull the carts, I was filled with a sudden sadness. The Soviet Union failed. Joseph Stalin deprived many people of their rights, imprisoned many, and killed many. Of course, I am not opposed to looking at the Soviet Union in a more nuanced way, but I think to say that it was successful is very easily proven wrong. Stalin was bad. Yet, if there's one thing I can say, I think I can say that there was hope. There was a dream that created the space for such a positive representation of leftist ideology. I mean, really chew on that. I feel like as Americans, it's almost impossible to imagine that, especially now. Yet that hope we feel from the film is cheapened and marred by what we know now. It's what made me so sad. This reality that the film constructs, which perhaps once was or could be, is ruined by my knowledge of future events. It's like going into 2020 and thinking it's going to be a new decade and excited about that and being hit with coronavirus and Trump too. I think we have dipped into a complacent pessimism that has come out in the form of irony. The feeling that there's no use in hope because hope will only let you down. Propaganda is such an amorphous term right now, like fascism, that I think when I use that term to describe PragerU or Fox News, people might argue with me on that. So after watching Eisenstein's films, I realized one thing, and I hope you can come to the same conclusion. Propaganda is constructed by its focus on empowerment, either through joy or anger, and often a solution. The old and the new gives the solution at the beginning of the film. We must industrialize. If you've ever watched those old 50s propaganda how-tos, they also tell you how to live your life.
The Adamses established a basis for discussion, which is the ideal way of handling conflicts.
When you watch Olympia by Leni Riefenstahl, a film for the Nazis about the Olympics, the solution it presents is a bit more hidden. But it is about how Nazis have the rightful claim to the term Aryan and are carrying on the powerful tradition of the ancient Greeks. It's horrifying in the way it wholeheartedly espouses its ideology. Perhaps propaganda doesn't have to be a dirty word. Perhaps it must be. Watching early Eisenstein, it is hard as a leftist not to feel emboldened by him. The energy and the fervor of his filmmaking is inspiring. It allows us to hope for the future, and that hope is never questioned, it's never cheapened. Hope is not something stupid, but the only way forward. Even in Strike, a film about the proletariat being killed and dominated by the bourgeoisie, there is still a call for you to remember this heartbreak and let it fuel you. Their lives can't have been lost in vain. They must be for something. The old and the new is a story of hope, but that hope being lost to time and history. But it's also a reminder that we need positive images of leftist ideology. A reminder that at some point socialism was taken as an unquestioned good, not on the defensive, constantly justifying itself. A reminder that technological innovation isn't for the elite, it's for us, to help us. Basically, fuck AI and fuck billionaires. Hello, and welcome or welcome back to the Performative Reading Corner. How are you doing? Good? Good. Yeah, me too. Thanks for asking. This was a really tough video to make because I didn't really have a very clear objective in mind, but it was therapeutic for me to make because I just needed to put my thoughts down about this film somewhere, and I'm glad you stuck around till the end. I would like to clear up. I don't think that socialism should be an unquestioned good. That wasn't my point. My point was that we need both. We can't just always be defensive or criticizing. We need just sort of positive representations if we're going to get anybody to actually listen. Anyways, thank you for watching, and if you feel obliged to, please subscribe. I will make more of these soon. Thank you.